Good morning. How are we doing today? Am I live? There we go. All right. How are we doing, everyone? Good, I hope. Sean, 50, Michael, Riley, Frank, Kevin, Matthew. I know you guys. I know you guys. Are we at home today? Are we at home or away today? I feel like it's at home. I feel like it's at home. Yeah, home. Okay. Sorry, just doing a little, just, just doing something real fast while everybody gets here. Finally here early. Home. Hello. Garnacho wanting to leave. We have to sell to buy in the summer. Yo from the car. Morton Pearsden. Hope you're well. Also, Blank, Abdul, Santiago, Frank, Javiz, AL, Devil's Advocate, Pablo, Santiago, Paul, Sir Roman. Okay. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Scheduling. Okay. A couple quick things. Obviously, I will be live today for the match for the watch along this afternoon at what is it? 1 o'clock my time, 8 p.m. UK, and that is going to be again. I will be live on Big Up So down below. So join me in about 4 hours for watching that. Yeah, a lot to talk about now. So, the Garnacho thing. I wanted to touch on this kind of right away. Yeah, because obviously this is a fairly decent story, decent like size. I mean, this is in some ways a little bit of a bigger story than Rashford, right? At this point, because with Rashford, we kind of all knew where things were going. Yeah, we kind of all knew where things were going ahead of the window. But with Garnacho, a lot of people didn't see anything like this coming. Now, I'm not saying, look, let me be a little bit clear here first and foremost, okay? The part of what's tricky with this is that it has gone it's gone a little bit over the top in the reporting on a pretty regular occasion, but it's not going away. So, are you not back, Smokey? And are you still like muted or something? I meant to unmute you a while ago. I told him that I'm. Oh, no. Hang on. Hold on, let me see something. I thought you were not muted already. Oh, you're still timed out. Don't worry, Smokey. You're good now. Anyway, yeah. It has not gone away as of this point in time. Has anyone reliable said anything? Sure. I mean, yes and no, right? Like I said, a lot of it has been over the top, beyond what like the reality of it is in terms of difference, but there are valid reports about two things, okay? There are two things that are totally true. One is that Napoli very much like Alejandro Garnacho, right? And obviously they've just sold Kvaratskhelia to PSG. They really like Garnacho. Okay, that is true. The second thing is that Garnacho's representatives have met with them. I'm trying to be like, uh, careful and balanced on this whole topic a little bit, okay? But I want to point this out, okay? Because I've mentioned this a few times. I've mentioned this a few times that this is the case, but I don't want it to go over the top, okay? Because I don't really like how where like things turn, right? Fans are way more emotional about this kind of stuff a lot of times than players and stuff are, right? Um, so like Ronaldo from Paddock, Ronaldo Brown, he's a good friend of mine, but you know, like he pointed out the other day, like Napoli wouldn't be discussing a bid. They wouldn't be expressing such an interest. His agent wouldn't be meeting with people if there wasn't some encouragement from the player. You understand? Like, you don't have to know much to know that that's true. Okay? And I don't want to push it over the top because what tends to happen a few times, yeah. Yes, it right, United we stand. Yeah. So it's not just like it goes over the top because then people go like, "Oh, fuck them, player wants to leave," this and that, and it can go over the top. But I think that part of the problem is that you at oftentimes have a little bit of a balance and a little bit of a battle here, right? Like between players that have to take responsibility for their career and clubs that have a different responsibility to take, right? In terms of how do they manage the club, how do they rebuild, how do they do these kinds of things, right? They all have these kinds of points. And, like we were discussing in the Kabi Mainu thing, Kabi Mainu's agents and them are trying to negotiate a better contract. And so there's little news and things like that come out. It doesn't mean Kabi Mainu wants to leave United. It doesn't mean that, like, there's any, I try to make that clear, but it also doesn't mean United want to sell him. It's just about everybody's got to put their lines and essentially protect themselves correctly, right? They've got to protect themselves. They've got to protect themselves well. They've got to put their line in the sand and say, this is what we're gonna do. You know what I mean? This is we have to hold the line here. On the Manu thing, right? Like Ineos United have to hold the line on what they'll offer for contracts moving forward for everybody and what that value is. And it's different than what it used to be. And agents and players are always going to be trying to get the most amount of money, And so like this discussion applies to all these players. I remember 2 years ago, when Maguire didn't want to take the move to West Ham at the time. Well, not saying he didn't want to take the move, but he wanted to get paid what he was owed from a contract, right? There was a lot of, he was getting booed back then. There was all sorts of like shit going on with that it was like, oh, Maguire's not accepting the move, what a piece of shit, things like that kind of narrative ended up going out there. But did he do right for his career by staying? Probably, because he became one of our most important center backs even during a rough season last year, and this year our most important center back. At Manchester United, he did well for his career and his decisions by sticking by that. And sometimes it can be unpopular. And so players have to do those kinds of things, right? They do have to some degree, protect their own, careers in the way that they see is best, right? Like Ahmad didn't want to sign a new deal while Ten Hag was here, right? He had a right to think, maybe I'm going to leave if this manager doesn't value me, right? Well, in some ways, there's no real difference if Garnacho is thinking he wants to go because he doesn't feel like maybe he's the right fit in this system for this manager. Same as there's no real difference for Rashford thinking he wants to go because maybe this isn't the right spot for him anymore, that he's made clear, right? This is all normal stuff and it's okay. My thing has always been that if a player does think about wanting to go, then you let him go. Because, not think about, but if they want to, then you do. Because otherwise, it gets kind of ugly. It's rare to sit and sit with a player who wants to leave or anything like that. But, obviously, as I've said before, there's been dialogue and thought in the past from Garnacho about leaving, not just recently, but even a year ago. He wants to, he's obviously at a position. He rightly or wrongly, like you're going to get mixed opinions on this, right? Rightly or wrongly thinks very highly of his abilities and his talents, right? And believes that he should be starting. Okay. Um, and I think that confidence can go a long way, right? Everybody has to have a bit of that feeling, right? So I think he's a player who feels that way, and when he doesn't feel that that's what's in his future, he's looking for a way to go. And this isn't the first time that he's looked at potentially leaving United in the last couple of years. It's not the first time that there's been options being explored. But for now, that doesn't mean he's not committed. That doesn't mean he's not working hard. That doesn't mean he's not trying. That doesn't mean he won't be in the squad tonight and he's not going to be playing, right? It just means keeping options open. Because until a point where a big bid comes in and he asks to go, it doesn't mean much else, right? It doesn't mean much else until that point in time. You know what I'm saying? And it's fine, and it's everything's being handled in a way that it should. Um, you know, Obviously, if that is the case, I'm not yet convinced he will go this window. By the way, um, I'm not yet convinced he will go. United don't want to sell him. They're not shopping him. So a bid has to come in, that would be in the range of probably 60 million pounds to make a deal. I mean, maybe with add-ons and things like that. And then he would have to communicate his desire to want to take the move and to go. So, there's a few things that factor into all of this, right? There's just a few things that have to factor into all of this, or whether it actually happens. But I think it's you know yeah. Anyway, it's I think it's being pushed a little bit further than it actually is at this point in time, which often happens, where there's a lot of chat from agents. But look, it's true. It's like you don't get attached to players at this point in time because everybody's got to look out for it. It's not United wanting to sell him. It's not United wanting to sell him at this stage. There's obviously one will look at it and say, okay, well, does he fit? And he's a good financial prospect, sure. And that's why they wouldn't say instantly no to any bid. That's why he's not completely off the table, because they'd be silly to not consider a sale if he wants to go and a good bid comes in. They'd be silly not to consider it because he's not a starter in this team, right? He's not Ahmad. He's not going to be the striker, and he may not suit one of the front three positions for the long term, in this team. So in that case, any player that's in that position, in the midfield, in the back line, anywhere, they're going to consider a sale. Okay. And obviously the financial gain from it would be very, very big, but it would have to take a big offer because they don't want to lose him right now. But it is about him. It's about him, like I said. And anybody trying to twist it any other way is wrong. And they're doing it either deliberately or just out of ignorance. And that is a fact. It is about him. If anything happens on this, it is about him. That's the reality. That's just it. Now, I personally think he should just, that Amarim should start him at left wing back. And I think he'd be our best left wing back right now. I said that when he first came in. I mean, I looked at what Ahmad did there from wide areas. I look at Garnacho's skill set. I think he'd be our best left wing back by some margin right now. I wish we'd gotten to see more of that. We got like a small we got like 10 minutes of it or something, and that's it. And that's where I thought he would fit in best of all. But we haven't seen it. And yeah, I don't know. I think he'd be good in that position. It, reminds me like when I watched Sporting, Maxi Araujo played there pretty often. I think they're fairly similar players actually. Good runners, carriers in space and things like that. But anyway, it is what it is. He's 60 million. When you look at the finances of it, 60 million pounds is a lot. And so if he wants to go, if he wants to go and they make an offer like that and United take it, it makes a massive, massive difference, right? Because yes, Seal and some other people asking here, yes, you if you sell a player and you get 60 million profit, you count 60 million instantly. So let's say you get 60 million profit, you get 60 million on the books this season. If you go buy a 200 million pound player, it's going to cost you 40 million this season. Okay. So in the short term, it gives you an enormous amount of flexibility. It's the same with Rashford, right? If you can sell Rashford, whatever you get as profit gives you an enormous, enormous amount of financial flexibility to spend. So there obviously are positives to it that would come in. That would allow us to do a lot, and there's options, as we know, right? When we've looked at all of these options, so there's definitely options, as we know. But you have to replace. At the same time, neither Garnacho's participated and contributed the last couple of weeks, so he's at the current stage. Obviously, it's more necessary to replace him than Rashford, who hasn't been in the squad. You could get away with. I'm not saying we should. You could get away with not replacing Rashford for a few months. You can't get away with, I think, not replacing Rashford and Garnacho for a few months. I don't think you could. I don't think that you could. So you'd have to buy somebody right away. I don't know what that would look like. I really don't. You could go for a wingback, because you could go for one of your top wingback targets. Because then, if what that gives you is that flexibility, right? Where you can push players into different positions. In doing so, right? Like if you were to go for Dibbling or for somebody like that, it pushes other people forward. No, Garnacho going before Anthony is logical. Nobody wants Anthony. It's not about that. Garnacho has interest. You know what I mean? Garnacho has interest. That's and that's the difference, right? This isn't like that's really. It's like it's always like that. It's harder to sell players you don't want than it is to sell players that are talented. You know what I mean? It's harder to sell your deadwood. Selling deadwood ain't easy. Selling players who have no value is impossible. Selling players that have value is very, very possible. You thought the fan base wanted ruthless owners to stop at Rashford. Well, and that was my point, in the past on this whole thing. It's like, when it was like, well, look, I said I back whatever, because when you start talking about, oh, you can keep Rashford out the squad and sell him, nobody's off the table, and people can celebrate it, and then when it's the player they like more, or a player that they're attached to, suddenly it's a problem. It's not. This is what it takes, but it is about him. Again, making it very, very clear, it's about him. It's entirely about him. But look, if you sold for 60 million, yeah, you could go out and buy that Nene Dorgelis player and your wingback easily. You could fund that. So then you'd get a wingback and a forward in, for the future, and you'd still be in a good financial position. So that you could do. That makes a big difference. The same goes for Marcus Rashford, but we'll talk about him in a little bit. Yeah, they want ruthlessness until it affects someone they don't want to go. But again, it's not even the ruthlessness, because he wouldn't be being sold. I'm not saying he is being sold as of yet. They don't want to sell him if he doesn't want to go. You understand? And I cannot repeat that enough, because people will twist this if it happens. They will. And I don't know why, but they will. They absolutely will. The players' commitment is like the number one factor for Amorim and for Ineos as to whether someone will stay or not. Okay? If Rashford hadn't expressed a desire to leave, then he would probably not be leaving right now, and he has as much or more value. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. It's like, it doesn't matter. The players who want to stay will stay, and the players who want to leave will leave. Commitment is absolutely everything. Um, anyway, so look, it is what it is, and we have to build a team that fits. And if selling these players, if they want to go and selling them, Garnacho and Rashford, allows us to buy 3-4 players that fit better, then we'll be a better team at the end of it. And look, it can be a win-win. If they want these moves and Garnacho goes and has a great time in Napoli, then it's a win for everybody. So what? What's the problem? Rashford ends up going to Barcelona and it's a win for everybody. No problem. You know what I mean? So I'm happy with all of that. If that's what happens. And that's really the point on it. Nobody's being forced out. People are being able to go where they would want to go if they're going to be sold, right? And that leads to the Rashford situation as well. Just to add to this, Barcelona is accepted, is definitely the preferred destination. Like I still think, there's a lot of thought that maybe Italy's more realistic because they could get a deal done right now, Milan, for him. James, you did say sell anyone that doesn't fit Emirates systems. Now you're going against you. No, I'm saying that's 100%. 100% I'm with that. Well, whoever it is, it's a win for everybody. But Barcelona would definitely be his preferred destination. And they tried to sign him a couple years ago. He turned him down. He probably regrets that, all things considered. So, that would definitely be his preferred destination. It's a club that has a lot of admiration for him, and they'd been in contact with him on a number of occasions. Right now, they can't afford him, but they'd have to make some space, and that's the risk of it. But definitely, I would say, there's a report this morning that he's waiting for them, and that's why it's not moving with other clubs. And I think that is pretty accurate, quite honestly. I think that's pretty accurate as to the situation at the present moment, because he would like to go there over anywhere else. Now, you look at Barcelona's situation and say, well, he would hold the bench. Sure. But they only have 3 good forwards. Lewandowski, who's 36, Yamal, who's 17 and keeps getting injured, small injuries and is being overplayed, and Rafinha, who's in amazing form. Beyond those front 3, they really don't like their other options. Rashford would play a lot of games at Barcelona in rotating in that front 3, especially because he can play in all 3 positions as well, which they do flexibly, moving Rafinha and stuff around. So it would give them more flexibility there. That's why they want him, because they're not happy with their other forward options that they have after the front 3. But I think that looking at 3 as a starter is not accurate anyway. When you're talking about forwards, you really want 4 or 5 to play. You want 4 to play almost an equal number of games, maybe 5. And there's more than that, and anyway, that's what they yeah. And he fits, especially in like the central areas. He could definitely play as a striker in that system there. And Lewandowski being 36, obviously there's a big difference. But we'll see if they can make space for him. That would obviously make a big difference. Vitor Roque or Ansu Fati is part of the Rashford deal. I think the problem is that we don't want either of those right now. Like, we shouldn't be taking Ansu Fati. The injuries, all that, it would be kind of pointless. It would be kind of pointless. I cannot see a positive to doing that. I don't want to take their cast-offs. There's a few players I would really like at Barcelona, but it's not those ones. It's not those ones. Now, maybe in summer, a swap for one of the players we really like would become more feasible. But yeah. Is it true if we sign Alvaro Fernandez cost around 8 million? Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't be a lot. Yeah, I could still see him ending up at Milan, right? I could definitely still see him ending up at Milan. You can definitely still see that he would end up at AC Milan. But yeah, look, I mean, if one of these sales do go through, and look, the situation with United transfers as it stands at the moment is, of course, kind of what we've been talking about for a week now, and maybe we'll get some, and this is why we haven't really moved forward on anything yet, is we want money. because we really don't necessarily want to just go and get go again. You go spend money on a 6-month loan. I said this before the window. If you go sell money on a 6-month loan that you're not gonna buy, then it's just a waste. It doesn't do anything for you. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't do anything for you in that case. So they would ideally want to get somebody in that is either someone they could buy in the summer or that they could buy now. Wasting any wages you save on a loan that doesn't result in the ability to buy later doesn't really do anything for us, because it's not about the next 6 months. It's about rebuilding over the next 2.5 years, right? So, we need to, that's what they would like. But in order to do that, we need to obviously raise funds. We need to raise funds. We need to make it as much money as possible and be able to go for some more permanent players. Yeah, like exactly that, Danny. Like, I think they would much rather buy Nene Dorgeles as like a cheaper player that has maybe some potential than go spend 6 months on a 6 million on a loan. You know what I mean? I agreed 100% there. Agreed. A player on loan could definitely help, but it depends. I mean, loans are not that guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? They're not that guaranteed at all. I mean, I don't think Sabitzer being loaned in did anything for us. Weghorst, I'm not sure. By end of the season, I'm really not sure that these did much. We've done a lot of loans where it's been like little things, but I'm really not sure if they actually did anything for us by the end of it. Whereas we made a purchase in January, the last big purchase we made in January, where we went through the whole month and got it done right at the end. Who was the last big purchase we made in January? And compare the impact of that, right? Compare the impact of that when we followed through and said, let's just buy like loans are not these band-aid fixes that people think, but that instantly work. But Bruno was the last purchase we made in January that was significant. We waited up. We fought through the whole month for it, and it changed our lives. I mean, it totally changed our lives, because we said, let's just get the guy we need and not dick around, right, with little loans and things like that. One of the few times the Glazers just fronted up and did it, and it changed our lives. It completely turned that season around for us, right? So I think that there's more evidence it's worth holding out for that. I think there's, it was, I don't think people remember, maybe a lot of people probably do, just how bad it was before Bruno came in that season. Just how bad it was. It was real bad. Oh my God, it was bad. That was ungodly. And look, Bruno, for any potential faults now, or in the long term for the future, was still way better as an improvement, especially for Solskjaer ball. He was the right guy at the right time for us to do what we needed, and he was the right guy for that team, 100%. He was absolutely the right guy for that team, and he was an absolute game changer. So, we need. Yeah, the period before Bruno's arrival was really, really ugly. It was so ugly. We need that. We need that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Andres Pereira, that was just so painful. But yeah, that's really the idea anyway. That ideally we can just, if somehow we can, that's what we want to see first. Can we get somebody we really want? That's all. But we'll see. You know what I'm saying? And Yeah, we'll see what happens. Can we get someone we want? And I don't think we'll make a move until we know that how much money we have to spend or that we don't have to spend um this window. But I think there's definitely things lined up like that Nene Dorgelis one. There's definitely left backs lined up. Um and there's definitely a few other things that have happened, that are there. Um there's definitely a few other things. James, any news on Casemiro to Saudi? Seems to have gone quiet. The Casemiro to Saudi stuff was overblown. I don't think he's going to Saudi. Like, I don't think he's going to Saudi. Um, yeah, MLS is. I've heard a little bit more on the MLS. You can see like Atlanta is buying a bunch of players again, but Chicago Fire have made an offer to Neymar. Like, how crazy is that? You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, the MLS is interested in a number of players at this point in time, trying to kind of capitalize on this Messi wave as well as the build up to the World Cup. And I think it's more likely an MLS club comes forward with something than it is Saudi at this point in time for Casemiro. That's how I've seen it. Because some of the clubs there have the ability to spend big money. With the way that the rules work on getting a player, there are clubs that can get him. There are clubs that can get him. We just have to see. He also loves the U.S. I mean, he goes there with his family all the time. He goes to Disney every chance he gets. So it would be cool. But anyway, I think it's more likely he would go to the MLS than it is with Saudi. But I think it's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit tricky right now. We'll see. Yeah. But anyway, look, when I say lined up, I mean we know who we want in certain positions, and we kind of know what the prices are and things like that on a number of different players. But it's about the money. It really is about the money. Like, we could do some little stuff in January, but the more money we have, the more we can do. And they still want to see, is there a potential to do more? So we'll see. Again, just in kind of summary on this, with Garnacho, it's fine. I'm pretty positive he will be in the squad tonight, and he will be playing. I don't see why not. It's not like that. It shouldn't. None of this. I think in general, people get too personal with players, and then they get real offended by things that go on. It doesn't matter. It's fine. None of it should be used to be like, oh, Garnacho doesn't want to be here, to shit like that. It's about people just keeping an eye on their futures. And I'm not saying that Garnacho is saying he wants to leave. I'm saying that his people are keeping an eye on his future and looking at options. Okay. And that's fair, acceptable, and we'll see if it develops into anything else. At this point in time, quite honestly, if you were to ask me, I think we get one deal in, Rashford goes on loan and Garnacho stays. Okay. And then maybe Antony goes on loan. And other than that, not much happens. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's literally just like Rashford and Antony go on loan and not much else happens at all. Okay. At this point in time, but we will see where we go from there. I'm not big on Padula. I mean, I know for a fact during the window where we were getting like Højlund and Onana and stuff like that, that his reports were incorrect at the time. Just wait. There's better reporters. There's better reporters on the situation. Just wait. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. We'll see. Cool. Given that, we'll kind of end with that. Why are we struggling to sell bad contracts? Yes, bad contracts. Yeah. Like the players we that are easier to sell are players like Garnacho because there's interest in him. And they're not on ridiculous wages as of yet. But then you don't want to sell those players necessarily, so you have to demand a higher fee. But yeah, our deadwood is on big wages. That's a problem. Alone at left back could win us the Europa League. Look, you're never going to find me arguing against the left back thing. I think that it's a sin to not bring one in this January window. I get it if Mendes isn't available till summer. I don't think we need to wait for Mendes. I think we could go for somebody else. But I don't think they can afford their top class one at this point in time. But there I'd be like, just do it and get a loan, yeah, just get a loan, just do something, to to me. That would make the most sense. I guess that's how I look at it. There is like the one area I'd be like, just do something, because it's crazy that we have nobody for that position. Again, Kabi Mainu, I think he'll get. I'm very positive, in fact, that he will end up with a new deal before the season is out. As long as he stays healthy. If he gets injured again and he's out for a while, I think it's going to cast some doubts, and they're going to want to see him be able to stay healthy more over the course of his time to agree on a new contract. But I think he'll be fine. And I think we're being a little bit more careful. Again, I think that Maguire will get a new deal by the summer, in summer probably as well. Any chance we saw Højlund in the summer? I think one of Højlund or Xerxes is likely to leave in summer, unless one of them kicks on. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of them has to kick on and do really well, and the other one has to be doing decent. And then they'd be like, okay, cool, we've got two strikers here. One is a starter, one who's, or both kick on. You know what I'm saying? But as of now, at the current stage, one of them is probably going to go, and one will stay as potential. At least that's what they'll be looking at. Okay. The thing that's crazy about left back is we don't do anything. We're putting two positions. Right. Agreed. It's gonna be tough to move Højlund though, because the fee was very high. I mean, 72 million. Is it 3 seasons already? No, it's just 2. Is this his second season? It's only second season. So, he's still going to have 43 million in value in the summer. You're not going to make a profit on him. If you sell for 30 million, you'll make a little loss. But you save on wages, so it kind of breaks even. But we'll see. It's easier to move Xerxes, but depends, right? And Xerxes wants to stay. And let's see. I mean, I was so encouraged by the Arsenal thing again. I go back and forth on Xerxes, because when I originally looked at him, I thought I could see a player here who's different than anything we have if he can bring it to the table. And it hasn't worked totally, but then you can see it in games like Arsenal. You see it and you're like, a guy who's that big doing that is obviously incredibly talented, who can do the things that he does at his size. You know what I mean? It's like, there's obviously a player there, because it's so rare players of that size who are that skillful, who are that talented with the ball, when it kind of comes together. It's so rare. It is so unique, but it just we'll see. We'll see by the season's end. I hope it works for both of them, and we don't have to handle that, but we'll see. By season's end, we kind of need to know. we really do need to know. We really do need to know. I'm not convinced either way of it. I'm just not. I'm not convinced either way. Far worse players have had more time and opportunity than Xerxes. 100%. I think that's the thing, right? I mean, he's been here that long. It's like, come on, he should get more time to see. Honestly, he really should. It's way too early to decide on him, but we will see. Okay. Last that I just want to mention here, obviously, I did a video with Academy Arena United yesterday. I hope you watch it. People have been asking Academy questions. We had a lot of discourse on the Academy the last few weeks. It was a really, really good video, an hour long, somewhat like podcast-y type of format. It was a really good video. He's not done a lot of videos. That was his first one, doing one with another person as well, like this. And I really appreciated having him on. He's very balanced. When I try to present balance on the Academy and not getting too hyped on players, and you can see if you watch that video, listen to him as someone who watches, analyzes, does a lot of video on the Academy and things like that. He's got a very balanced view of it. Does not go over the top with thinking like everybody's going to make it through, but really intelligent takes. He knows his stuff, knows what he's talking about, speaks well. It was wonderful. And I hope we want to do this regularly. I've gotten really great feedback on it, so I want to thank him for that, but also definitely go watch that. If you want to know about the Academy, who's there, who's coming through, who's working, who to watch for, all of that, he's definitely someone to listen to, and we'll want to do it regularly as the Academy comes back and is playing. to keep an update. Who are the players that are performing? Because like he talked about, it's an interesting thing. Speaking as we have of Garnacho, we talked about that at length, where Garnacho, at the age of a lot of the players right now, wasn't that impressive when he first came in. But he hit a point where suddenly, month over month, he just got better and better and better before he, kind of broke out. And that can happen. And if we do start to see that, he will definitely see that. And it'll be good to keep up with it and say, yeah, this is the player who's really coming on strong and we could see in the first team and all of that. But definitely go have a watch of that. It was great. I mean, I was really, really impressed with his knowledge, and he's a regular watcher of the channel and all that too, which is cool. Which I didn't actually know when I reached out to him to do the video. So that was nice to see as well. He's a part of our tribe, our community. But yeah, Shea Lacey, someone obviously he mentioned, and that is as like one of these, maybe the only guy who you look at as like hyper talented, that it's obvious, but he's got to get healthy, right? But then there's, he definitely mentioned as well, like keep an eye on Jim Thwaites, and I think Jack Fletcher as well as too. He'd really said to keep an eye on and see where their track goes moving forward too, which would be very, very, very nice. Okay, so that's that. Let's move on to previewing Southampton. United versus Southampton tonight. They're 20th in the league. They have 6 points. We're 15th with 23 points, but a win would bring us up to 12th, all the way up to 12th. It's at home. We obviously need to beat them. And I think that everybody can, I think we can all speak, we can speak for everyone when I say we really do need to see United win this game. After the performances we've seen, these are the games we need to see United win, right? These are the games we need to see United win. And Amram said that too, right? Like these are ones that we need to kind of get going. I don't know, Jack. I don't know about that source either. Okay, I would still wait for some better ones before we can be sure as to how the discussions are going, if like these are good sources or not. We need to hear from better ones to see if there's not if there's anything kind of expected. Anyway, so we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Because I don't think Napoli will pay enough. I don't think Napoli will pay enough. Either, honestly. That's why I said, like, if you thought it me honestly, I think that we wouldn't. Yeah, I think that it'll stay at the present moment still. Anyway, thank you for posting that. Anyway, so what are we gonna do now? What is the team that we want? Well, let's get to our votes, huh? Who do we want to see today? You could say it would be good to rotate today, but yeah, we can't. Like, can we rotate? We've had a week off in between games, recently, which has been obviously helpful. Now, again, we're back to 2 a week. We play now, then we have to play on Sunday against Brighton. Then we play Thursday in the Europa League. Then we play Sunday. Then we play Thursday. Then we play Sunday. Then we get a little bit of time off. Then we get a little bit of time off. So, yeah, we probably have to do a little bit of rotation, which I think Ruben talked about. I think he talked about Harry Maguire specifically kind of had to come off with a cramp. And he said we cannot lose him. but we didn't start Lenny Yoro, right? So we do have the personnel to put, De Ligt in the middle and put Lenny Yoro on the right. I think Yoro will get a start there. Ahmad didn't start either, so you could expect that he'll get a start. Dallo is suspended. So, yeah, there's a few things that we got to see here. So let's go through the team. Dallo's not an option, okay? For this, let's start with Ahmad. we're gonna start. We're gonna do our Ahmad poll. First and foremost. We're gonna do our Ahmad poll. Which position for Ahmad? Ahmad right wing back with Garnacho right 10. I like the idea too. Yeah. And then you could put Mazraoui at left back. Quiet, Issa. Quiet. I think Ahmad as right wing back, Garnacho as right 10 is good for attacking options. I think it would make our attack very strong. Then you could sub one out, I think, to put another fullback on or something. Right, because Mazraoui's going to have to play left wing back. I mean, Mazraoui or Malacia, right? Unless Garnacho plays there. You never know, yeah. Garnacho could play left wing back. We don't know. But if Garnacho plays left wing back and Ahmad's at right wing back, we don't even have 3 forwards. It's close. We hit 100 votes here. I'm going to end the poll. It's not that close. Close, but it's not that close. Excuse me. All right, so we're gonna plop Ahmad here. What's going on? Is it broken? Hold on. All right. Uh-oh. Might be having some technical difficulties. Let me get the next poll going. We're gonna put. Oh man, this thing. Their site might be down. I might have. Oh, there we go. All right. There we go. Okay, we're good. We're back. It's too late. You voted Ahmad. Okay. We'll go striker. And we'll watch it flip back and forth. We'll watch it flip. This week it's Xerxes' time in the sun, right? This week it's going to be Xerxes winning the poll dramatically. It is funny this, right? Because like if I go back and review the VODs, like it's going to flip every week. Xerxes plays and then he starts and then everybody decides that it should be Højlund, and then Højlund plays and he starts and everyone decides it should be Xerxes. I don't know what the answer is yet. I like Xerxes a lot and he's newer, but it's pretty funny. It's like it goes back and forth, and I don't think it's wrong. I think that was Højlund was really, really poor the last few games. And I think that Xerxes, after that game, he deserves it, right? He had a good showing against Arsenal, but he's got to do it when he starts. A good showing against Arsenal, but he's got to do it when he starts. All right, Xerxes won this one fairly strongly this time. All right. Let's go left 10. Do we have any other options beyond Bruno and Garnacho? Am I missing anybody? Am I missing anybody that I could add? I guess I could put I could put Ericsson in there. I'll put Anthony as the right-sided option. Not going to be a left 10 option. All right. I mean, Bruno's going to win this right now because who the fuck else is going to play? I mean, it could be Garnacho, I suppose, but then you have the same issue at the right 10. Bruno had a very good game against Liverpool. I don't think he had a great game against Arsenal. I'm not going to lie. But it was fine. It's hard to judge that game after what happened. I thought the first half from him was bad. But the second half was disciplined. But it was a weird game in general, so it's hard to judge anybody for it. Bruno is very good against Liverpool. we'll see. He needs to keep it going. You know what he talked about. He needs to keep that going, week in and week out, and he'll be. Yeah. My only concern with this is what this is not a very, like, people need to get in the box. You know what I'm saying? We need guys getting in the box. And you know, I do want to point out there was a quote. Bruno said that one of Amorim's coaches, what's his name? One of the young coaches, Carlos Fernandez, I think it was yelling at him to run harder and get in the box. Do you guys remember that quote? It was after the Arsenal game, and he crashed the box on that and got his goal. But he that was that specific quote. He told him he needs to get in the box. Bruno said it himself, and that was the exact critique that I made. Carlos Fernandez, Bruno said Carlos Fernandez told him that, right? I think it was in his post-match quotes. Did you all see that one? Because I thought that was very telling, because as I've said before when watching, that's been my biggest critique. But Bruno's obviously taking it into consideration and learning, and following through with it, and that's what they're saying. He needs to play as that second striker more. He needs to get in the box. We need numbers in the box from him. We need everybody in the front line needs to make that effort to get in the box. And I was really glad to hear that as the instruction. Like, don't sit and hang back all the time. Get in the box. And he did. And it made a big difference. And the more he does of that, the better. I think they're like the same age, aren't they? Carlos Fernandez and Bruno. Maybe even he's older. I don't know. And just like that, we have no forwards. But if you were to buy a right wing back, then you would have more forwards. No, it says thing is definitely to yell in all capitals. He's been doing it here since like 6 months now. All right. Garnacho is going to win this one. Okay. Man City started talks with Atalanta for Ederson, but it's Padula. Yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief. Ooh, there's somebody saying Besiktas are looking at Malacia, but don't know if it's a good source yet. Besiktas, come to Besiktas. But yeah, obviously, like if we bought a right wing back in January, we would give us more options forward. If we bought a left wing back, it doesn't totally, but it also kind of does, I guess. But yeah, so off the bench, the only options we have on the bench are in this setup are Højlund and Antony. So if we were to move it Antony and Garnacho, you've got to buy players. We're out. We don't have any options here. For sure. It was Carlos Fernandez. Okay, thank you. I thought I had that right, but I just wanted to make sure. Fernandez to Fernandez. What a combination. All right, let's go with our left wing back. Do we have any left wing backs? Is Masraoui the Malacia? I don't know. There's probably only one right answer here, huh? Oh, I guess I could have put Antony in there. You're right. I could have put Antony in there. But I think nobody's going to vote for Masraoui to not play. Like, let's be real for a sec here. I guess I could have put Kokonki. As it was explained by Academy Arena, he's played left back a bunch, but not necessarily like left wing back. The game is in 3 hours from now. Just over 3 hours from now. Martinez and Maguire possible doubts. Yeah, I think Maguire is more of a doubt based on what Amorim said. 6'5" left wing back, Arteta's dream, exactly. All right, let's get to the midfield. There's still only one right answer here. There's still only one right answer here. Well, you're using the new Big Up feature tonight. The replays won't be available till tomorrow to do the review. So tomorrow we will be doing a review. No, Maguire will be there. It's just starting. He might not start. He's not injured. He's gonna be there, but he probably won't start. The hero of the Emirates in goal. Why does Mainu need to be benched? Why would Mainu need to be benched? Why would he need to be benched? What would be the reason exactly that Kabi would need to be benched? For rest? He's had a decent amount of rest. He only played 72 minutes against Liverpool, 33 minutes against Newcastle. No, 57 minutes against Newcastle, 63 minutes against Wolves, and 81 against Arsenal. It's not like he's been playing full games. He should be fine. His minutes are fine. His minutes are fine. We need ball quality to break down a team like this as well. We definitely do. I think that's why I like the attack here, because we're going to be playing against a team where we're going to have to break them down and stuff, and we need this quality on the ball for sure. Cartain Eriksson. It's not about sitting back. It's just that we should end up with a lot of the ball. So I don't know how they play under their new manager. Right? I'm gonna give you these options. Throw in Johnny. I actually have no idea how they play now. Eriksson would be a good second half sub. Yeah, agreed. Sure. Yeah, he could come on for Ugarte at 70 minutes, 75 minutes or something. I think Collier coming on as a in that position would be decent. Lindelof's injured, isn't he? Isn't Lindelof injured? It's January, so I assume so. All right, Sandra's going to win there pretty strongly. Now, I'm going to include Maguire because it's kind of what we want. And I think Maguire should win the center pole, but we kind of know it's probably going to be De Ligt, right? For today. Well, De Ligt played 120 minutes too. Maguire should win this. But we've already heard the comments about maybe resting him, so I think that influences it. Because that's supposed to be who should be starting, who we want, not who will be, but it's not a prediction, but it's fine. It's fine. We already kind of know Amorim has said that Maguire potentially needs a rest, so it makes sense this week. De Ligt had a great game against Arsenal as well. They both had amazing games against Arsenal. Maguire was unbelievable, though, on another planet still the last few weeks. Yeah, because Harry needs a rest. Exactly. I think that's fair. We've already heard, like, we really don't want Harry to get injured. You know what I mean? We really, really, really don't want Harry to get injured. Yeah. It makes a lot more sense to give Harry a rest today. I would rather De Ligt start today. Totally. I think, but I'm happy with De Ligt starting. Like, that's the nice part. I'm getting really happy with our center backs. I think today that's the real difference is that people do want Maguire to get a rest. And it makes sense. And Amorim's commented on it too. So he's influenced it more than anything. Because, yeah, Maguire's had a lot of little niggling injuries with his hip and things like that. We definitely don't want him to get injured. We can't afford that. We can't afford that. So we'll give this one to Delict for today. And of course, that gives us really one option at right center back, doesn't it? And that way we can get Lenny Yoro in at right center back. Do we have any other players? I guess no, Kukangi's left-footed. He can't really be right center back. I mean, it's just Yoro. There's nobody else. I mean, right? There's nobody else. Lenny Yoro. A lot of I'm an idiot votes. It's got to be Yoro. We've already put Mazraoui in though, so we can't have him voted at right wing back, at right center back. Lenny fucking Yoro. Does the I refer to me or to James? It refers to you. You're the one making the vote. Not me. And if you didn't get that, then I think the second answer is for you. just teasing. All right. Yeah, Lenny's fine. There's not a concern. He's a young player. He's good. Don't worry about him. He's all good. All right, we're gonna give it at goalkeeper. Onana, Altair. Now, you guys shouldn't overreact to this. Because if Bayindir wins this, it's a little bit funny. I'm very, very happy with what Bayindir did in that cup game, save-wise. But that was the worst kicking performance from a keeper I have ever seen. I'm not gonna lie. The worst. Every goal kick was a throw-in. Literally, I looked at his stats afterwards, and he completed like 17 out of 64 passes. That was crazy. I mean, absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like that. Hello all the way from Zimbabwe. Excellent channel and top work as always. Thank you, Nyasha. It was wild. That was amazing. I mean, the penalties were saved. The penalty saved obviously during regulation, and it was great. Awesome. All love for him. He made some good saves, but holy, that kicking was on another planet bad. You know? That's crazy. But hey, nothing but love for our Hashashim. His kicking reminded me of Moody from the Niners. Do you think we should start one of the kids at left center back or work like God will? Yeah, like I would be fine with seeing him. No Xerxes? Oh, tell me he doesn't pick up an injury, or are you just saying that we haven't seen him yet? I haven't seen anything saying like X player hasn't arrived or anything like that. All right. Well, yeah, we've got our team. I think it's a good team. I think it's the right. I think this is a really strong team, quite honestly. Like, if you were to ask me, regardless of Dallow's red, right now, bar Maguire, I think this is the best 11. What do you think? I think it is. With our current available options, is this our best 11? Bar Maguire? If this was selected? Like, you could swap Maguire in, maybe Delict for Euro for now and Maguire in the middle. But I think this is our best 11. I mean, arguably. I'm not saying it'll happen, but like, I think arguably this would be our best 11, right? Like today. I think it would be our best 11. And obviously, it needs improvement, but, you know, there's a few things. Like today, what could we see? We could see Anthony starting at one of the fullback positions. We could see Malassi and Mazraoui. I think a lot of this will happen, though. Like this 3, 4, 5, 6 is probably nailed on. And then Bruno and Ahmad. And then, like, maybe a few little changes, but if we beat Southampton and Brighton, the whole mood changes. Yeah, I mean, if we beat the next 2 games, we'll probably end up in the top 10 and looking better. And it's like, you know, we know where we are this season, but it'll give us that momentum. With Arsenal going for Šeško, who do you think? Are they going for Šeško, though? Interesting. Are they? Because I'm pretty sure that has already been knocked down by a few very strong sources. Pretty sure. I think that Šeško, like someone was pointing out, Šeško's not the finished article. And I think that it would be wrong to go for him this summer. Like, he's been on our list, but that was before Xerxes. He was on our list even before Højlund. I think it would be wrong to go for him. If we're gonna buy a striker this summer and move one of ours on, we need a proven score. We need somebody who's like gonna. We need a really like a settled striker. Yeah, Ornstein already shut it down, I believe. Him or Delap. I would prefer Delap. I mean, Delap's performing at an extremely high level in the Premier League right now. Why not? Delap is there, you know? You don't have to worry about him. And he's playing under a system with McKenna that's good football too, right? It's not like just park the bus. So, yeah, like this morning splash, like look in the last hour, I think Ornstein said it's not happening. Delap is a better player. Would be an instant fit. Like, so yeah, I mean, if you took this team, if you had 2 moves, if I had to make 2 moves, yeah, if I had to make 2 moves, it would be getting a left wing back so that Mazraoui could play anywhere in here, and getting a like, you know, a left wing back, Mazraoui, Ahmad moves there, and get a striker in. If I had to do two things, that's probably what I would do. And then I think you have a really strong starting 11. That's when I look at it like there's the potential here for a really strong starting 11 with just a couple of moves if we can make it. And there's potential there. You can see the potential there because we've got a bunch of good center backs now between Yoro and Maguire and De Ligt and Martinez. It's not like he's useless. He's a very good player. There's games he's good. We just have to be careful of the certain games where there's, you know, where he can get caught out. Mainu and Ugarte still think is great. Ahmad's great. Mazraoui can play in a bunch of these positions. There's not depth, but yes, a couple of players changes it. If you had Osimhen in this team and you know, I'm just like, yeah, the squad needs work, but it is like, I'm just giving this as an example because just for fun, right? This is 2 signings, okay? This is with 2 signings, right? This is a great team with 2 signings. A great starting 11 with 2 signings. It's a very, very, very good starting 11 with 2 signings. You know what I mean? Like that it is, right? And that's why I'm always like, I go, you know, I don't think it's as far away as it needs to be. I think these players now beyond that, what are your options? Limited, right? You need more. You need, you know, you still have some concerns. You need depth, all of that, but and you need more forwards for sure. But as an 11, this is a very good team with 2 signings. That is plausible come summer. I mean, I'd be thrilled to have this. I'd be thrilled to have this. You know, I don't care. You could put Dilap Gyökeres in here, and I'd be thrilled. You could put Kirkez Ait Nouri here, I'd be thrilled. But this, I'd be very, very happy with this team. Yeah. And then I would take, I would want another top attacker in here, like Acuna or someone like that for sure. I'd want depth in the midfield. And then another center back in there. But the more time that they play together, these players are going to come along. And if Bruno can put in games like he did against Liverpool, which he's obviously capable of, then you'd be hard pressed to find better. So, yeah. And I've been a big critic of Bruno. You know that. Gotten a lot of heat for that, but I think it was very fair. But I praise at the same time. If he can do that, then that's exceptional. Then I think in terms of the 11, you're almost there, right? But I think probably you still need a more athletic left center back as well. And then depth, really depth across these areas. But anyway, I'm going to end it here for today. Please join me for the watch along in 3 hours. The link is below. Tomorrow, really, really, really special video. And I hope as many of you as possible will attend and watch. The first time we're going to use this new feature from Big Up on the watch along platform to review. If you saw like the things I posted and all that, review Southampton. We can watch clips. We can draw on them. We can do everything we want, like literally like a presenter on TV to review the game. It's going to be fun. I'm still going to do a live on Friday, but I'm going to do that first. And I really, as many of you as possible, you can come watch. You don't even have to sign up for an account there or anything, and it's all free. There's no ads. There's nothing. But it's just sort of like the launch of this new feature, and it's really cool. And it's a lot of fun as a place to go. But so come hang out for the watch along later and check it out, and then definitely come join me for that tomorrow morning. Well, morning my time. Anyway, yeah, you don't have to do the watch along, but this is like a post match. There'll be a post match. If you don't like watch alongs, that's fine. But come watch the post match review tomorrow morning. It'll be a video just breaking down and reviewing Southampton after the fact. Yeah, so that's a different thing, and watch alongs are definitely not for everybody. But that's a different thing that I hope you guys will attend. It's only going to be there. I cannot post it on YouTube or anything like that. So it's a very unique form of content that will be available only over there. And there's nowhere else I know that you can do it. So, yes, thank you all. I'll see you later here. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, or wherever. But enjoy the day. Enjoy the game. Hopefully, United can get the win. And I'll see you all later.